Yesterday we had chaotic scenes in Kikuyu constituency when the Kikuyu people were expecting Rigathi Gachagua to actually land and address the large turnout of numbers. But Kimani Ichungwa was not about to let Rigathi Gachagua access the Kikuyu constituency. What did he do? Brutally tear-gassed the people of Kikuyu constituency with ugly tear gas scenes, coloring the whole Kikuyu constituency with white tear gas and pinkish tear gas. Well, why do you think they actually tear gas Gachagua's convoy not to access Kikuyu constituency? Is it a form of intimidation or the rogue politics trying to stop him from actually accessing Kikuyu and addressing the large numbers of people who stamps authority, yet once again none other than Rigathi Gachagua, despite the police tear gas and barricades to stop him from accessing Kikuyu, he penetrated and gained access to the Kikuyu people. Well, welcome back to our channel. Press that subscribe button for more news bulletins on Real News, the channel where you get all your trending bulletins.
Kimani Ichungwa alisema Rigiji hatafika Kikuyu. Rigiji amefika hajafika? Rigiji amefika hajafika? Hapa ni wapi? Hapa ni wapi? Kiongozi wa Mlima Kenya ni nani? Nani kiongozi wa Mlima Kenya? Nikiwa hapa Kikuyu, niko nyumbani, siko nyumbani. Wewe Ichungwa, wewe hapana wetu. Tabia zako Kimani Ichungwa. Hatuamini wewe ni Mkikuyu. Hatuamini wewe ni Mkikuyu. Umeshikana na William Ruto kuangaisha jamii ya Wakikuyu. Ni makosa kubwa sana Ichungwa. Hao watu ya Kikuyu walikuchagua mara 3 kutuma polisi na risasi na tear gas kupiga wale watu ambao walikuchagua. Harambee! Chama yenu ni gani? Chama yenu ni gani? Bila kusikiza ground. Nataka kusikiza ground. Hapa Kikuyu munasemaje? Kikuyu munasemaje?
Now, Gachagua always accuses Kimani Ichungwa of causing all the political tension in Mount Kenyan region. Remember, Ichungwa is termed as the traitor, given Ichungwa dines with William Ruto, and Mount Kenya is a one-term region. Remember, during their All-Kalau burial, Rigathi Gachagua actually made public request to President William Ruto, asking him to tell Kimani Ichungwa to stop disrupting his rallies with the tear gas and police brutality force. But what did Ruto do? The opposite, totally opposite. Remember, Ichungwa actually takes orders from Ruto, so definitely Rigathi embarrassed Ruto during that burial, and Ruto wants to prove a point that he is still the president of Kenya. We had totally chaotic scenes in Kikuyu constituency. But why the use of police brutality and tear gas canisters lobbed into Rigathi Gachagua? He is the main threat of Kenya, of the government. Now currently carrying the opposition leader after Raila Amolo Odinga. But how threatened is the government with Rigathi Gachagua? His one-term narrative is slowly taking over. And remember, Ruto has no support in the Mount Kenyan region. That is the greatest challenge Ruto is facing right now, because Gachagua has successfully managed to lock Ruto out of the Mount Kenyan politics. So what else rather to do than tear gas all his political rallies? His terms authority states clearly he is the leader of Mount Kenyan region, and all the Mount Kenya actually listen to him. This political feud between William Ruto, Kimani Ichungwa and Rigathi Gachagua, will it ever come to an end? Because every day it's another new political tension, a political storm, chaotic scenes, brutality. And now Kimani Ichungwa has been rejected by Mount Kenyan region. If William Ruto is relying on Kimani Ichungwa for support, where will he get it if Mount Kenya says no to Ichungwa? He has names like the traitor. But I don't think Rigathi Gachagua is yet to be intimidated with the tear gas or the police brutality. Putting barricades to stop his convoy. Remember, after long struggles, he managed to penetrate Kikuyu town. What does that tell you? Is President William Ruto, Kimani Ichungwa, desperate to get the Mount Kenyan support, or desperate to stop Rigathi Gachagua from dominating Mount Kenyan region? This is an act of desperation, tear gassing innocent rallies. Why stoop so low? Why this extent of using police force just to stop a political rally being held by none other than Rigathi Gachagua? Are they afraid of the one-term narrative, or the opposition is actually executing the one-term narrative into reality? But don't you think when the government gets into such a desperate act of tear gassing the opposition, they are only making the opposition gain sympathy from Kenyans, which makes them even much more popular? From impeachment, giving Gachagua his platform, creating his own political path, charging directly at challenging President William Ruto with a great opposition, and he stamps authority in Mount Kenyan region. Is there a political challenge? Gachagua is actually giving William Ruto sleepless nights. He is like a nightmare to Ruto. I don't think Ruto expected all these developments from Rigathi Gachagua. Probably they assumed they will impeach him and he will go become a nobody rotting somewhere in Wamunyoro. But out of the sympathetic votes from Kenyans, one political strategy that always works to win the hearts of Kenyans, Ruto has not yet realized that. He still continues to tear gas Rigathi Gachagua in his political rallies, giving him a much better platform to be heard by Kenyans. But why all the use of this tear gas? A form of intimidating Gachagua to step back and not come out to actually address. But you know, Rigathi, he doesn't back down. He's not a coward. No political coward. He managed to actually beat all the police brutality and reached Kikuyu and addressed the large turned out crowds to support him. But if Ruto continues like this, do you think he will even get 10% of supporters from Mount Kenyan region? The president seemed to be cornered somewhere. Political tension, it's called. And who is giving him that sleepless night? None other than Rigathi Gachagua, who stamps authority in the Mount Kenyan region. Now, we all know that Kikuyu constituency is one of the regions where one great ally of President William Ruto comes from. Kimani Ichungwa, the member of parliament of Kikuyu constituency. And rather, he was not about to let President William Ruto down by letting Gachagua access his constituency to go promote the one-term narrative and, of course, against UDA and President William Ruto. Hence, he planted the political brutality of police force to try and stop Rigathi Gachagua with the use of tear gas. But ain't this a form of intimidation, cowardly act from the majority leader, Kimani Ichungwa, who is also termed as the traitor who betrayed Mount Kenyan region by supporting none other than William Ruto? Well, will the political difference between Kimani Ichungwa, President William Ruto, and Rigathi Gachagua ever come to an end? And why do you think the government used brutality of tear gas to stop Rigathi Gachagua from accessing Kikuyu constituency? Leave me your views on the comments section. Subscribe to Royal News, the channel where you get all your trending bulletins. In case it's your first time to listen in, press your subscribe button and ring your notification bell so that you can be fast to receive the news bulletins once we upload them. Until then, GD Ishmaels.